Or is that two different categories of things?
لا different. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه وبعد. We continue inshallah with our class of Uloom Al Quran for young professionals, and inshallah we'll talk today about the third phase of the collection of Quran during the time of Khalifa Al-Rashid Uthman ibn Affan radiyallahu anhu.
The era of Uthman radiyallahu anhu. During the Khilafah of Uthman radiyallahu anhu, Islam had spread far and wide, reaching northwest Africa to the west and Iran to the east. The new Muslims of these lands would learn Islam generally and Quran specifically from the Muslim armies, traders, and teachers who came into contact with them. During the early days of the expansion of Islam, Quranic learning and teaching was complicated because it was revealed in 7 recitations. Different companions radiallahu anhum learned the Quran from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in different recitations.
And the 7 recitations here are not the 7 or the 10 that we know here. Those 10 recitations and other variations that it is not mutawatir and all that, they are part of the combination of the 7 according to one opinion, or one of the 7 according to the other opinion. So it's a big topic. It's a big topic and very, branching off in different ways. So imagine it like this. Imagine that the Quran came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in one way, the tongue of Quraysh. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Allah, it's going to be very hard. It's going to be very hard for the people who are speaking Arabic in a completely different dialect to do that. Then the variations started coming to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Anyone telling you that these variations are made up, the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam recited in the tongue of Quraysh, but he allowed Tay or allowed this tribe or Hudayl or this, you can read it according to your thing, and they invented it, that's not right. But the variation itself came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So I'm just giving you the juice out of that topic of al-ahruf al-sab'a. Because the word recitation is, in translation, is a little bit deceiving. You will think that the recitation of Abu Ja'far or Amir or Hafs, this is not what it means here. It means what came to Rasulullah. Came to him in one way, then when he asked Allah, he increased it until it became 7. Like 2 and 3, so Ham said still more, until Jibreel alayhi salam kept telling Rasulullah, ask Allah for more, until Allah said, is enough. 7, كلها شاف كافٍ. All of it. For those 7 variations, it is like combination and permutation. Not every single word in the Quran has to be read in 7 ways. That's not what it means. There are certain words that will be pronounced in a certain way according to different dialects, right? And there are certain words will be given another meaning. Also, it's not because of the dialects only. Sometimes it is the third person, it becomes the second person. And you do it or they do it. But that's not about dialect. Or it is plural and singular. That's not about dialect. ذُرِّيَّتِهِمْ ذُرِّيَّاتِهِمْ. It is not a dialect, right? So it is more of Allah Azza wa Jal give the variation himself, subhanahu wa ta'ala, to Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam to give extra meaning. Like we were discussing about Surah Al-Ma'idah, they are asking Isa alayhi salam, can your Lord give us a Ma'idah? But in the other qira'ah, can you provide us with a Ma'idah? You see, هل تستطيع ربك, by your Lord, can you do this? So they are expecting it from Isa as a miracle because he does miracles. But the other qira'ah, هل يستطيع ربك, can your Lord provide? Two different, it's not about dialect here. It's about what? Narrating the story in 2 different ways. Okay? So for sab'a ahruf, it is wrong to say that it is because of the dialects only. Allah Azza wa Jal gives the additional meaning. So Jibreel will recite it to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in 2 different ways or 3 different ways. So some words, rarely you'll have an ayah or a word that will be read 7 different ways. مش ممكن يعني. It's not like that, right? That is the al-ahruf al-sab'a. Now, Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to recite with all of them in different ways because he is the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So thousands of different variations. He sallallahu alaihi wasallam, long maddir, short maddir, this. He is able to do that in a very organized, disciplined manners, that this goes with that, but not this and this and that. Only him. Because Allah is telling him, recite like this. He recites. But now for you to create a pattern for this, to model that, it's impossible. It's impossible. So what the Sahaba did, Rasul said, you recite it like that. But he comes to the other Sahabi, same thing, he said, you recite it like that. Different. All right? So each Sahabi comes after Rasulullah and said, that's how I learned it from Rasulullah. So now the scholars did not have a clear statement to say that what Abdullah ibn Mas'ud learned is from the combination of the seven or from one of them. مفيش عندنا دليل. But what we are sure of, that this is a wahi from Allah. That's what we're sure of. And he got it from Rasulullah. Rasulullah cannot make up stuff, you know, or tell the Sahaba, go ahead and make up whatever you want. If this is the case, our time now would be completely different Quran than what it was before. And actually, there's a claim about this. Some Muslims are now saying that this Quran is nothing compared to what it was. And subhanAllah, the non-Muslims proved otherwise. That this Quran is actually the one that was saying. You see? And subhanAllah, the one who sticks to the tradition is the one who wins at the end, even if the whole world against you. Even if the whole world with you and you are away from the tradition, you lose. And the whole world will give up on you, will abandon you. You are not trusted because you messed up your own tradition. So anyways, that's the story of the seven ahruf. So Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave the Sahaba. So how should I say this? The community of the Sahaba, or the totality of the Sahaba, the seven ahruf were among them. All right? But each one of them had choices from all the seven through Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he memorized for himself, or he wrote in his own mushaf. Maybe it's completely different from another Sahabi, or it has similarities, but it is Quran. Then that Sahabi, the Tabi'een studied from him. So he will teach these variations. Now it becomes very hard which one to do. I want to recite now. Would I say this variation or that variation? I cannot repeat the word a few times. So each qari will choose one. And he said, I'm going to stick with this. So he eliminated things that can be done. It's not like he invented something which was not there. Well, that's the thought, Like Imam Abu Ja'far came and he see the text, but he recited his own way. Okay, that's wrong. لا, Imam Abu Ja'far have 5 different ways, but he picked one. That means he's still reading the wahi. But he said, how I'm going to teach all 5 at the same time? Okay? But the performance itself might be different. What does that mean? He come and say, you do the mad here 4 harak. But you do the mad here 2 harak. Same mad. So you read like this and you read like that. You understand now? So that's what Imam Asim, for example, chose. He told Shu'bah, you read 4 haraka, all of them. But Hafs, you may read 4 or 2 or 3 or 5 or 6, it's up to you. So Hafs have these variations, but Shu'bah has only one. Qalun have 4 different ways and Warsh have 3 different ways. But the Imam Nafi' himself has a lot more than that. You understand now? So there were different, Imam Nafi', hundreds of people reciting from him. And among the 100, he's giving all the variations, right? But each one of them chose something. So you have Qalun and Warsh, they became the most famous because people only study from those 2. But they don't go to Imam Malik, for example, to study under him. They want fiqh from Malik, not Quran. So the variation of Malik, nobody took it. Get it now? Variation of Al-Hasan al-Basri, nobody took it. People go to these 10 imams. That's why they become 10 qira'ah. But now you know where the choices came from. Abu Ja'far and the Imam Yaqub, and Imam Khalaf, and Nafi', and Asim, and Ibn Amir, and Abu Amr, and Kisai, and Hamza, all of these 10. There, each one of them has lots of variations, but he stuck to few. And each one of their narrators, 2 narrators, he picked few. Okay? and that's what it is. فيعني that is, and it stopped over there. It stopped over there. يعني all Hafs's variation is recorded in books after him. All this variation is recorded in books. How this thing stopped? When scholars at their time started documenting their قراءة and its usul in books. يعني Imam Nafi recite like this, or like this, or like this, or like this. Now, those are the recognized ones. Now comes an Imam like Imam al-Shatibi. Imam al-Shatibi, well known as a scholar of Qira'at reference. So the choices he made becomes recognized by thousands of people, and they stuck to it. That means what? Most of the variations that the Prophet ﷺ used to recite with is not there. But what we have is for sure among the variations that the Prophet recited with. And suffice for us to know our deen. Is that clear?
Yes.
So that's all what I said now. I hope you get it out at the clip and you will listen to it alone, because it solves lots of problems in a nutshell. Okay? So the claim is that if this is the choice of the Qurra themselves, that is wrong. Right? Is every variation the Prophet recited with existent among us? No. But what we have among us, exactly the Prophet recited with? Yes. Is the 10 Qurra coming with the narration from the Prophet? Absolutely. They chose from an existing pool, of course. It does not say anything other than, okay, if we miss the whole pool, but we have a cup left, okay, good. So we have Quran from Allah Azza wa Jalla, and Allah intended it like this because He said, I am preserving the Quran. So that's what is intended for the Ummah. That's enough for us to know our deen, period. All the extra variations is more variation than anything else. Yani there is no ayah that it is not there that is carrying a hukm that your Islam is depending on, or you going to Jannah or hellfire is depending on, but it is lost. That would be deception. And you are accusing Allah Azza wa Jalla that He is asking us to do certain things to go to Jannah, but it is not preserved. So be careful, yeah. Right? If Allah said the Quran is the guidance and the Quran is not complete among us, that means no guidance. It means Allah is lying. Astaghfirullah. Yeah. Prophet did not do his job. All right? So this solves it on that level that we have. Yeah. Otherwise, we go in depth, then there are lots of other tracks. We don't want to get there.
These companions then taught it to their students according to the recitations they learned. These companions and their students went to different lands and would teach the recitation they learned. For example, the people of Syria used to read according to the recitation of Ubay ibn Ka'b radiallahu anhu, and the people of Kufa read according to the recitation of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu. With the spread of Islam, the difference...
The people of who read Ubay ibn Ka'b?
Surya. And the people of Kufa read Abdullah ibn Mas'ud.
It said Surya or says Sham?
It says Surya. Should it be Sham?
Okay, just continue, inshallah.
With the spread of Islam, the differences of recitation spread as well. Knowledge of these different recitations was not well known in the new lands, so it started leading to a lot of confusion. It reached to an extent that people started disputing and arguing with another about the correct recitation of the Quran. This concern was brought to the attention of Uthman radiallahu anhu, who also sensed this was becoming an issue. The incident that led to Uthman's decision to compile a standard copy of the Quran is narrated by Hudayfa ibn Yaman radiallahu anhu.
Because Hudayfa is the one who suggested this time. The other time, Umar ibn al-Khattab is the one who suggested to Abu Bakr. And then Zayd was the one assigned. Now Hudayfa is the one who suggested it to Uthman, and also Zayd will be assigned.
Okay. Hudayfa radiallahu anhu noticed that differences were arising amongst people while he was on military campaign in Azerbaijan. He returned to Medina and went straight to Uthman radiallahu anhu and said, O leader of the believers, before this nation falls prey to dissension about the Book of Allah, like the Jews and Christians, you must do something. Uthman radiallahu anhu asked, what is the matter? He replied, I was on a military mission on the Armenian front where I saw that the recitation of the people of Syria were following that of Ubay ibn Ka'b radiallahu anhu was not known to the people of Iraq. Similarly, The people of Iraq who followed the recitation of Abdullah bin Mas'ud radiallahu anhu had not heard the recitation of the people of Syria. As a result, they called each other unbelievers.
See, preach to. It's not like that. There was a debate, of course.
Yeah.
You know, this is the result. It's not like he heard and said, "Oh, you're a disbeliever." It's not like that. It's the shaitan. You know? Like the issue is, you're supposed to ask, "What is this? Is this really Quran? Where did you learn it?" Yeah, this is the normal. But because the emotions are very high, and they are fighting jihad, yani, but their mindset now is black and white. We have to understand, right? It's black and white. People are fighting, and it's either you're a Catholic or you're a Muslim, you know. But then the Quran is like basic thing. Okay, so you see someone reciting in a way that completely off, and you are a new Muslim or you are Ajami, you do not know the Arabic like that. There's a problem now. Okay, so I said, "What is this? The Quran?" He said, "No, it's not Quran. No, it is Quran. Oh, Quran is what I learned from this. You are a Catholic." فيعني that's what happened. Sayyidina Hudayfa saw that, and he saw the problems much bigger. He saw the long term. If this continues, then the sects will develop. So it has to be solved from the top right away. Okay.
In response to this concern, Uthman radiallahu anhu called a meeting of the elder companions and consulted with them. He said, "I have been informed that there are people who say to each other, 'My recitation is better than yours.' And this may be carried to the limits of blasphemy, disbelief.
Yeah.
What is your opinion on this matter? What is your opinion on this matter?" They asked him what he thought. He said, "My opinion is that we should unite everyone on a single transcript so that no differences or divisions may occur." The companions approved and supported his view.
So that statement, the last statement, companions approved and supported. Before that he gathered the people, because this kind of decision is not an individual decision. So if anybody tells you Uthman did, it doesn't stand, because Uthman himself did not make the decision until he brought the Sahaba, the senior one, in front of him, said, "What you think?" Then they told him what you thought. What do you think? So they transferred it back to him. And when he said, "Yeah, that's a good opinion." So basically it's a collective opinion. So do not say that Uthman is the one who burned all the Musahib. That kind of rhetoric, not acceptable. That's why I'm telling you, when you learn logic, you go back. I want you to learn something, by the way. Anybody makes a statement, there are assumed statements before it. Assumed statements or questions before it, right? Give me an example then. Make a statement about something. Anything. Go ahead.
You're fasting today.
Okay. So when you are saying fasting today, what is assumed before that? Why you said that?
The person is Muslim.
And this is Ramadan.
And it's all.
See, always there is some thought before the statement. Yeah, the statement does not come like kun fayakun, like, you know, a wahi comes to you without any explanation. Somebody said, white, yeah, what's that? Right? But if he says, this wall is this, or this napkin is white, so number one, it's a napkin. Right? So there is something before it, that there's a napkin, and that napkin has a color, and that color happened to be what? White. So instead of arguing with the third one, you go back to the assumed one. Makes sense to you? And that's what the atheists always do. They know logic very, very well. So whenever you make a statement, they take back to your assumptions before, and they attack you, and you are off guard. Then you fall. Right? You fall down. Because the punch is the sucker punch, right? So you're not expecting it. But if you assume that the person is deceptive, he might give me a sucker punch, so I am like, this means the result of what? He's deceptive, he might give me a sucker punch, that's why I need to be like this, right? So you went and read his mind. And that's why Tyson, he wins all the time. Because he knows what the guy is gonna do. Muhammad Ali, he knew what the guy is gonna do. Okay, so you see opening, even the guy is closed, because he already read his mind. So when you read the mind of the one in front of you, it's easy to understand. So if someone comes and says, "Oh, Uthman is the one who did such and such," but where is the first assumption? There is a change that happened, and that change came from the Khalifa, and that Khalifa happened to be Uthman, right? He said, well, did Uthman do it by, did Uthman consult somebody or no? Well, the whole building collapsed now. So instead of saying, no, Uthman didn't do it. No, Uthman did it. No, Uthman didn't do it. No, Uthman did it. It's like, that's what they want, right? But you say that, did Uthman happen to consult anyone before he made that decision? Now, like the whole thing collapsed, right? The building collapsed. Because now you're taking it to a completely different arena, right? Was it based on consultation or not? And instead of saying yes or no. All right? Somebody tells you, man, you are a hypocrite. You become furious. So what should be your reply?
What makes you say that?
How do you know? Really, how do you know? Very simple, you know? How do you know? Oh, you are doing such and such and such and such. But everybody does that. Means a hypocrite? Can I say same about you? What would prevent you from me saying same about you? Or about anybody in this world? If you're not sure, then it's not true. Correct? So instead of someone who was here yesterday and saying that there was a guy saying he's a Muslim, but he's not fasting Ramadan and he does not believe that Ramadan is Ramadan or whatever it is. You know, like he has his issue. So he debates with him all the time. I don't debate with him. Just don't. Because that's why he called him 5 minutes before Maghrib every day. Just to trigger him, man, you know. He said, what is this Taraweeh you guys praying, you know? Then he said something. He said, you know, I think that Allah is looking up on you, looking down upon you, and saying, you know, just go home, sleep is better for you. Right? So I told him, you know, tell him, yeah, that's what you think. Because he said, I think. I think Allah is doing that. So when you become defensive, he said, Allah is not doing that. He's actually thinking, he's not sure, yeah. Right? He's not sure that Allah does that. He said, you know, I think Allah does that. He said, that's what you think. And leave it at that. You know? So sometimes you take from the person's statement and you kind of bring it back on them. It's like Tai Chi. You know Tai Chi? You know, Kung Fu and Karate is like you go back, like fiery. But Tai Chi is like you use somebody's power against them. So they tell you, I think. I said, yeah, you think. Means you're not sure, right? Said, I think your religion is nonsense. I said, yeah, that's what you think. Correct? You solved the problem right there. So are you sure that our religion is nonsense? Prove it. And there is 1.8 million think otherwise. So that's what you think. Okay. Otherwise, either you give me or you don't, or just let it. فهذا مهم. When somebody said about Uthman did such and such, really? I didn't know that. Huh? How do you know? How do you know? Did he come talk to you? Did you see that? They're not even Muslim. Or they just heard it from, oh, I heard it from some, oh, so it's hearsay. Yeah? Okay. I thought you have some solid ground. You kind of like humiliate the person, right? And instead of being defensive, you're gonna like shwi ala nar hadiya, you know, like barbecue on slow. And then, you know, these guys, once you hold them, I don't leave until they are well cooked, well done. So they do not do that again. All right? بجد يعني, right? I don't give them any value. But if they engage, خلاص, I'm not gonna let you go until we are done. Okay? فيعني ايه? Either you know how to cook or you just abandon. Don't stand in the kitchen. All right? So this is my advice to you as da'i and as youth and all that. If you're gonna engage, make sure that you go all the way. And you know the rules of the game and the engagement. If you don't, ahsan, to save your headache and move forward. This is not good for you. All right?
Uthman radiallahu anhu gathered the people together and addressed them by saying, you all live so close to me in Medina and yet repudiate each other and differ with one another in respect of the recitations of the Quran. It is obvious, therefore, that those who are far away from me must falsify and disapproving each other much more vehemently.
So Uthman, and that's called critical thinking. critical thinking. So to make sure that the decision is made properly, we're telling him if we here in Medina, the elite, we have our own differences among the Quran and all this. So how about those who are like thousands of miles far, from us? I mean, hundreds of miles far from us. They must be worse. This is a way in discussion. It's called persuasion, or convincing someone with a cause. You give them the logic of it. Right? So يعني من أقول لك مثلا when people saying Qibla is here. No, Sheikh, Qibla is here. No, Sheikh, Qibla is here. Tell them the issue is not as small as you think. This is not what it is. You say, what do you mean? I tell them, where is the Kaaba? How far is the Kaaba? About 1,000 miles? 1,000 miles? Okay. If you go 1 millimeter to the right, by the time it reaches the Kaaba, how far it is?
Super.
Few miles. يعني مش في مكة أصلا. You are going somewhere else, عند الطائف كده. صحيح؟ طب when if you go the other side, تروح عند اليمن بقى. يعني you're not facing Kaaba. What are you going to do now? The issue is not what you think. The issue is much bigger. So the solution is the common direction. Kaaba, that's why our faqih 1,000 years ago solved that problem for us. But because our ignorance, we don't know. See, they solved that problem already. They said, if you see the Kaaba, you have to be in the exact direction. If you are out of the Haram, it is the direction of the Haram. If you are out of Mecca, it is the direction of Mecca. It is the common direction of the country. Because you cannot fix. The further you are, you cannot 100% do. Even when you are in your salah, if you did like this, خلاص you're out. يعني if your shoulder does some act or your head does some act, you're out already. So you cannot avoid people's salah based on that. So Uthman is telling them logically, if this is what we are here, don't be okay because you say, oh, the differences are tolerable, you are fine. No. The further it is, it becomes blasphemy now. So we gotta fix it here. And that's sometimes when somebody does something little, you tell them it is not that little, it is the repercussions of it. It is like by the time it is going to another town, it is much worse. Another country is much worse. 20 years from now is much worse. 200 years from now is much worse. That's why we need to do this. Why you are so harsh on that? Because of that. Okay? Sometimes people would have said, why Uthman did not send them one copy and keep the variations in Medina because this is where the academia, where the Sahaba, where everything. No. Fix it here, it will be fixed there. Fix there, it's going to get worse here later. I hope you understand all the dimensions of it. And if it is fixed out of Medina, Medina itself will become like that 100 years from then. Then it's going to go also over there again. Because the people will say, oh, what he sent us, he did not apply in his own town, so why should we follow it? So you have to fix yourself first before you tell people. Now you understand why you have to تأمرون الناس بالبر وتنسون أنفسكم. Why you forget yourself? You have to do by model, by action first. Then people will see you. And when you are a da'i, you're supposed to do 95%. For people to do 75 to 80. But if you do 75 to 80, they're going to go 40 to 50. And if you are satisfied with the minimum 50, they fail. All of them will fail in the exam. But that's why sometimes when you know more, you have to take yourself harder, even though it's allowed, but you don't want to do the allowed things. That's why they say the adab, etiquette of talib tafsir is more than the regular student. When you are advanced, it's different from when you are elementary. Talib of hadith has extra stuff. The talib of Uloom Al Quran and Quran is extra stuff. The hafiz and the extra stuff, like that.
Therefore, let everyone join together to prepare a copy of the Quran to follow that should be obligatory for all. To carry out this task, Uthman radiallahu anhu appointed 4 companions: Zayd ibn Thabit, Abdullah ibn Zubair, Sa'd ibn al-As, and Abdul Rahman ibn Harith.
Sa'id or Sa'd?
Sa'id. Sa'id ibn al-As and Abdul Rahman ibn Harith ibn Hisham.
They were known for super, ultra articulate Arabic Fusha. These people. And those names, they were like the kind of the top eloquent speakers of the nuances of the Arabic language. مش أي حد يعني. يعني it's not like someone who is يعني Abdullah ibn Zubair, all of them by the way young. But they were like kind of the tongue يعني. The representative of the Arabic language. I cannot emphasize enough on that. So that was an issue, important issue, as you'll see, because it's very, very important that the copy that they write, right, they are aware of all the dialects of Arabia and all of that, that the word, the way it is written can accommodate as many variations as possible. And if this first copy does not accommodate, they will do another copy with different variations. So if there is 5 variations, but the word can be written, can only take 2. And the other, there are 3 more. And the word here will only take 1. So there will be 3 copies, have the 5 variations of that word. You understand now how the process is? So that's why these people cannot be a regular Arab guy. It has to be someone who knows the nuances of the Arabic language and how can write the word to accommodate. So it's not an easy task.
Wow. He also requested Hafsa radiallahu anha to lend the copy of the Mus'haf that was prepared during the time of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu so that they could use it to make multiple copies.
Remember, it was files for every surah? Yeah.
This group of 4 companions, along with others, carried out this task carefully and methodically, producing a copy of the Mus'haf that served as the basis for the one we have today. They used the copy they received from Hafsa radiallahu anha as the base. However, they did not solely rely on that copy. They adopted the same methodology that Zayd used during the time of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. This committee undertook 4 unique tasks.
Here you go.
Firstly, the surahs in the copy prepared by Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu were not in sequence. Each surah was written down separately. They placed the surahs in sequence found today in 1 copy. This sequence was also taught by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam through revelation.
Here you go. So they knew that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, with some يعني in the advanced books there will be some discussions with that. But anyways, they will يعني the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam recited, for example, in Tahajjud, Fatiha, then Baqarah, then Nisa, then Al Imran. So they differ in that. But anyways, يعني they said that, you know, when Zayd was listening to the Prophet reviewing with Jibreel alayhi salam, that's the sequence here. So there was sequence because, you know, they would sit and he would review in 10 days. Last time he reviewed the Quran twice. That means within 10 days, it's like a Prophet reads 3 juz every day. So when you read like that, for sure, he was going to go from one surah to another. So he read Al-Baqarah, then he read Al-Imran. That's 3 juz, يعني the first 3 juz. Then the next 3 juz will involve Al-Imran and Nisa and Ma'idah. And the next 3 juz will involve, you know, the surahs. So يعني when the Quran is divided on 10 days, right? That means 3 juz will be recited. Not juz, but as we know as juz now. That amount will be divided like that and recited. So then the Sahaba caught that sequence, and that's the first task. Secondly,
they wrote the script of the Quran in such a way that it incorporated the different types of recitations.
So the different recitations, they were right, as I told you, to accommodate.
There were no dots or vowel marks placed on the words so that they.
So sometimes it is تعلمون, sometimes it's يعلمون. وما الله بغفير عما تعملون, or وما الله بغفير عما يعملون. So the ya, it can be ta or can be ya. So there was no dots. So this way it can be recited both ways. Understand? So it did not write ta or did not write ya. So it can be pronounced as ta or ya. Can be also pronounced as noon. Can be pronounced as ba. But they know that the variation here is ta or ya because the grammatical structure as well. Yeah.
So the language itself didn't evolve to have dots. They had dots back then.
Some, no, but at that time they knew but not the dots that we know.
Okay.
Not the dots we know. That for example, the fa will not have a dot, but the qaf will have one dot.
Okay.
So the dotting was there, but not as we know.
Okay.
But they did not put any identification to accommodate.
Yeah. There are no dots or vowel marks placed on the word so that they could be read in accordance with all the valid recitations. For instance, they wrote Nanshuzuha,
Like nanshuruha,
Nanshuruha, I'm sorry. Nanshuruha so that
nunshizuha.
yeah.
يعني it can be written both ways. انظر إلى العظام كيف ننشزها or كيف ننشرها.
So that it could be read as Nanshuruha and Nanshuzuha, because both the recitations are correct.
Right.
Thirdly, they prepared 7 copies so that it could be distributed throughout the Muslim world. One stayed in Medina, one was sent to Mecca, and one in each to Syria, Yemen, Bahrain, Basra, and Kufa.
Some says 3 copies, some says 5 copies, some says 7 copies, but at least there was 1 copy that is the base of everything. That's what is the concerning. It's Mus'haf al-Imam that Sayyidina Uthman kept for himself. But they, for sure we know that there is more than 1 copy.
Yeah.
For sure we know that there is more than 2 copies. But the issue is it 3 or 7 or 6? That's not a big deal. It's not the main point of discussion here. In point of discussion that there was a copy of Hafsa. They took a copy, they took and copied, but they evolved it more. So the copy of Hafsa had the files. So sometimes the variations are written in different ways in repetition and all that, because they have that. But now they want a copy that does not have repetition. The ayah is written only 1 time. What is the next task?
Fourthly, they checked their transcript against the transcript prepared during the time of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, along with the personal copies of individual companions. It was the concerns and efforts of Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and countless other companions radiallahu anhum that led to the production of the copy of the Quran we have today. Allah Azza wa Jal chose this blessed generation of people to carry out this monumental task and used them to divinely protect His words.
So the important part here is this. And I'll finish with that today, inshallah. But no one should come to you. Don't allow someone who comes to you and said, "Well, Abu Bakr did better than Uthman," or Uthman did something that Abu Bakr did not do, something like that. Again, what this would be the assumption before that. The assumption before that is what? Why they make that statement?
That they're doing something wrong.
They're trying to tell you that each one of them is a different track. The assumption is this is an effort and this is a different effort, right? And that they were contradicting to each other. So how you going to correct that? You said this is if you think that each one of them was not building on the other's work. So now the argument completely changes. Right? So Abu Bakr built on what the Prophet ﷺ did, and Uthman built on what Abu Bakr did, and the Ummah kept building until we see what we have now. Okay? Until the Quran is in the apps and the Quran is in this and that. So related. You understand my point here? So the Quran kept going through changing on how it is introduced to people, but nobody played with the text. So Uthman was the next logical step to what Abu Bakr did. Abu Bakr was the next logical step to what the Prophet ﷺ did. You understand? So we are completing each other. So don't allow somebody to come and say, this is Uthman, this is Abu Bakr. I like this better than this. Or this should not be that. No, don't allow people to do that. Say it's the same family here. If I have dispute with my children, this is our dispute. You do not come and say, oh, your dad is bad or your children is, you don't do that. That's not your business. It's your family, okay? We're good. You know what I'm saying? So take their mind off the issue that they're trying to do. The father is a different entity, children different entity. Shaitan comes in the middle. Say, no, you don't get it. This dispute because we love each other. So at the end, if you're going to interfere, we both join forces and we're against you now. And that should remain like this, the spirit. All right? So anybody comes and tries to say, oh, this fuqaha did wrong. No, fuqaha did not do wrong. They are humans, they can make mistakes, but we are proud of them. They're not prophets. We have the choice to take his opinion or not to take his opinion, right? But he's our great leader. So you step out. You're the problem, not them. So if somebody said, oh man, this Hanafi fiqh is like whatever, they're said, Hanafi fiqh, what do you know about Hanafi fiqh? Abu Hanifa is our master. Are you following him? No, I'm following Imam Malik or Shafi'i or Ahmed. But Abu Hanifa is the father of all of those. But he said, that's all right. He had that right. He had that right because his intention was to make the deen easy for people. And since he's human, he's not supported by wahi to come and correct him. He can make mistakes. But overall, that was not his intention to make mistake. Overall, he did lots of good to the ummah. So you step away. I hope this is clear for you as a leader or as a da'i. Don't let anyone pick a part of your heritage or deen and make it negative. Even if me and you consider it negative. Mafhum? Understood? Yeah. We can do that in our own house. We can differ and say, I pick this, I don't pick that. But when it is someone from out or trying to deconstruct my deen, la, no. Yeah, I don't like this couch in my house, right? But if you come and try to take it, la, this is a piece of furniture now. It is part of my house. I like it as bad as it is. You cannot just come and take it because I disagree. No, I am the one who can take it out or keep it. But you telling me something, you're not acceptable. This decision is mine. I hope this is a clear concept. Because I see the young people, when they are fighting, they take things personal and they drag you out of your zone of comfort zone. And then you are open out now for their punches and kicks and all of that. I stay here and this is my forte. This is my deen. What you see defect, I see a chance for correction. I like it the way it is. Okay, let me work on it. We have lots of smart people who can work on those things. But it's not your business. I like to eat the food like the way it is. You don't like it, it's up to you. Don't order. Go eat in your zone, in your corner. But I like my food like this. I like my fridge as it is. I clean whatever I want. I keep whatever I want. I cook whatever I want. I fix whatever I want. صح يا عم الشيخ فارس؟ Yes sir. أيوة. فإن شاء الله رب العالمين we stop here. After Eid بقى إن شاء الله we kind of decide when to meet every week at least once. Hopefully Sunday إن شاء الله. We can do the Zoom as well. I have يعني some class but we'll find an hour in the morning on Sunday, maybe 10 to 11 or 11 to 12, something like that.
Like our old mentorship class?
Yes. Yeah, until we finish the course, inshallah. Yes.
Sheikh, question. So now, you said, so the Uthmanic script, all 10 qira'at that we have today,
coming from the Uthmanic.
So like, let's say there's a change of a word, like the whole word changed from one qira'at to another qira'at. So like from فَتَبَيَّنُوا فَتَثَبَّتُوا.
Actually, it is one of the conditions that القراءة تكون متواترة, that it has to agree with مصحف عثمان. So just to يعني give you relief.
Yeah.
There are 3 conditions for a قراءة to be accepted. One, number one, it has to agree with the rules of Arabic language. طبعا that will be more than مصحف عثمان. Number 2, it has to be متواتر. يعني group of people never. Number 3, it has to agree with the copy of Uthman. So that's one of the conditions actually. If one of them missing, يعني it is according to the Arabic rules. And there is a group of people narrating it. Like قراءة الحسن البصري, there were a group of people narrating it. But it is opposite to مصحف Uthman. So it is not mutawatir after that.
So theoretically speaking, that if you take out all the harakat in every single Quran that's in a different riwayah, it would all look the exact same.
Right. تثبتوا تبينوا, same thing.
Same way you write it.
Even there are some words that change, like قاتلوا وقتلوا, قتلوا وقاتلوا, قتلوا وقاتلوا. يعني one word comes before. There was one of the copies like that as well. يعني one of the copies has that word first and that word second.
Mhm.
Or there is a wow here, but there is no wow here. سارعوا and وسارعوا.
Okay.
ولا يخاف عقباها فلا يخاف عقباها. In one copy it is with the fa, in one copy it is with the wow.
Okay.
It's a
Sheikh,
comedy.
I
نعم
also
تفضل.
have Assalamu alaikum. I have a couple of questions to how about the stops, like
What do you mean?
In the ayahs you find sili, qili.
Those are ijtihad from the Qur'an. Based on the recitation of the Prophet ﷺ, sometimes he stopped, sometimes didn't. And there is a complete science called علم الوقف والابتداء.
Wow.
علم الوقف والابتداء يعني the علم of stopping or joining.
Mhm.
And this will result on also what is considered an ayah or not. يعني some places it is an ayah, some it is not. يعني مثلا صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. In some copies it is two ayah according to the قراءة of Abu Ja'far ونافع المدنيين. المدنيين there will be two ayahs because بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم is not considered part of Surah Al-Fatiha like every other surah with the exception of Tawbah. So they will say صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم and they will put number 6. غير المغضوب عليهم الضالين number 7. According to the others بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم number 1. So صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين will be what number 2. And then the ulama divided الوقف to وقف تام وقف كافي وقف حسن وبعدين وقف بقى قبيح وحرام وكده يعني. So وقف التام that means the next sentence does not have any relationship to the sentence before it. الوقف الكافي suffice that means there is a relationship but it is allowed. حسن there is a relationship and there is a open permissible يعني. Like when you say الحمد لله رب العالمين هذا كافي. لأن رب العالمين still described الرحمن الرحيم. There is still description going on. So وقف كافي to stop, but the meaning is not complete yet. الرحمن الرحيم still كافي. مالك يوم الدين still كافي. It is إياك نعبد يعني still talking to Allah عز وجل. Some said this is تام finished يعني. Now you said إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. Then اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. خلاص تام. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم كافي. Why? Because you're going to explain what صراط. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. وقف تام. So that's knowing what is the waqf will help you where to stop, where not to stop, how to join, how to start, like that. You know. فقل هو الله أحد كافي. الله الصمد كافي. لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد تام. يعني complete finish. And so on and so forth. طبعا some of them will be very hard to do unless you know the meaning, unless you know the grammar, unless you know this, unless you know that.
Yeah.
So
Actually, that I think it is related to this one. I had you one time, Sheikh, you were reciting Surah Al-Safat. ألا إنهم من إفكهم لا يقولون ولد الله. I always had this question. Sometimes when I listen to Sheikh Al-Minshawi, and I had you as well in a salah, you're doing the same thing. And some other Sheikh, the shuyukh, they stop. And
it is actually an ayah. ألا إنهم من إفكهم لا يقولون, you'll find an ayah in Surah Al-Safat.
Yes. And
ولد الله then وقف. Right? Actually يعني هو في مسألة فقهية which says حكاية الكفر ليست بكفر. يعني when you narrating the statement of people which is كفر, it does not make you كافر يعني. ألا إنهم من إفكهم لا يقولون ولد الله وإنهم لكاذبون. Like that. That's fine. يعني but it is my اجتهاد. I learned from my sheikh that I can join this. It's better. As I said يعني the ayah here is اجتهاد of some scholar. You can make it an ayah or not an ayah according to other قراءات. ألا إنهم من إفكهم لا يقولون ولد الله وإنهم لكاذبون. That would be like one block. Right? Or you stop like ألا إنهم من إفكهم لا يقولون ولد الله وإنهم لكاذبون. It's beautiful, you know, when an Arab listening to this, it's kind of like heavyweight, yeah, right? يعني the ayat, the end of the ayat is not all agreed upon among everybody. That's why in the books of قراءات you will find like we say سورة الأنعام وهي 160 على العد الكوفي و163 على العد المدني و159 على العد البصري. يعني someone said, oh, they are taking ayat or adding ayat. No, the marcation of the ayat is different. But that's not a big deal. يعني the ayat and the waqf are ijtihad of scholars.
Okay.
ijtihad of scholars. Like, you know, you say ألهاكم التكاثر حتى زرتم المقابر كلا سوف تعلمون, or you can say كلا سوف تعلمون ثم كلا سوف تعلمون, or you can say كلا سوف تعلمون ثم كلا سوف تعلمون. Each one has a different emphasis on the meaning. يعني.
You stop at, I hear you say you stop at كلا.
كلا, it is the negative to the different, to the one before. سوف تعلمون, يعني you will have the knowledge of this and many other things. But when you say كلا سوف تعلمون, يعني no, you will know the answer for that only.
Yeah. That's why you stop. Okay.
Yeah. So when you stop, you add another
Yeah.
meaning. يعني. There is another meaning. Yeah.
So there are places in the Quran where it's haram to stop at this part.
There are places in Quran which says لا, يعني do not, and also this ijtihad. يعني.
Yeah.
And because the Quran is Allah's statement, and Allah Azza wa Jalla narrating the statements of others. يعني Allah talking about others, even Fir'aun. He says Fir'aun said, right? فيعني in Quran there is lots of conversation going on, but it's all by Allah, by Allah's statement. So based on that, you can stop and join, because you are narrating the words of Allah, based on your human capacity. But these marcations is for the person who's hearing, not to have a thought or something like that. يعني مثلا a statement of kuffar. You stop at it and you start with it as if you are the one who's saying it. That's makruh, and that's not a good thing. يعني I'm just trying to remember something like that. You can say مثلا قالوا اتخذ الله ولدا. You do not come and say وقالوا, and then you say اتخذ الله ولدا. You cannot do that, even though that's not what you believe, and that's not what you actually mean, right? But the stop itself gives that implication. So you want to take that away from any thought process.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
You get it now? يعني even if you recite it like this, do you intend to say that? Do you believe in that? No. So why you are saying that? Just happened. I lost my breath, or I stopped. I didn't pay attention. The idea is that, but then, you know, they will say, don't stop here. It's just to guide you.
Yeah.
تمام شيخ عبد العزيز؟
Yeah, jazakallah khair.
Yes, alhamdulillah. Any other question?
Assalamu alaikum, ya Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, can you explain a little bit about the burning of the Quran during the time of Uthman?
No, صحيح. Well, the way, يعني, when you burn the Quran, it is a process. Number one, يعني, it's not a process of humiliation or anything like that. It is the process of eliminating something that will cause issues. All right. So it's actually the way to, if the Quran is old, or a copy is not used anymore, or it is ripped, or some of the text is not good, you know, that's what you do. You burn it. You are not burning it like the other non-Muslim guy who burned it out of humiliation. Yani. No, we burn it out of respect. Why we burn it? Because that is the way that was available, and still yani, the best way to eliminate the text. The text is not recognizable anymore. Now, if you do that by cross-shredding or by this professional shredding, ممكن, but burning is the best. As long as the text is not recognizable anymore. Okay, so that's the first thing. Second thing, why Uthman burned it? Because that was the cause of the problem. Yani those different copies, if they exist, means his copy has no value now. Yani why he made the copy? Why did he make the copy?
To standardize it.
Why he wants to standardize it? Settle the difference. Why there was differences? Because different copies. So different copies has to disappear. since now we have a copy from all the different copies, that is the copy that is agreed on. All those different copies not agreed on, they are personal copies, and they are the ones who caused the issue. I hope the scenario here is very clear. So the act becomes clear. And did Uthman do it in the backyard in his house? Or he did it with the agreement of the Sahaba? Agreement of the Sahaba. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, for example, did not agree, and people will bring that. And he kept his copy. It's not like he's disagreeing with burning. He's disagreeing with burning his copy. He said, my copy is not going anywhere. My copy is with me. But then later on, he was convinced, yeah, right? So that's the maslaha of the thing. So again, ijtihad of the Sahaba. And Uthman did not tell him, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, you are wrong, or I put you in jail, or anything like that. Yeah. They were seniors, they were talking on that level of maturity. Yeah. So it's not Abdullah ibn Mas'ud want to harm the Ummah, and they said, oh, this is bad, and I'm going to bring my copy to challenge your copy. That was not the case. If you have Mus'haf and I tell you I'll give you a new one, what are you going to do? Said, no, this has been with me for like 20 years. No, man, no. I'll keep this and I'm not going to read it, but I'll use the new one. But no, leave this alone. It will take lots of effort to convince you with the negative things that having that Mus'haf would be. And that Mus'haf, that Mus'haf is missing 5-6 pages. No, but I know. But what if you die and your children now memorize Quran from this Mus'haf? You see now? What's going to happen? They will say this is a Mus'haf of our dad. Our dad was the best Qari in town. And this is the Quran, and I'm not going to accept any other copy. What do you want to do then? So now I'm convincing you. You see? So that is where the maslaha of the ummah comes more than the individual maslaha. Yet some Sahaba kept their copy. There was no issue. Yeah. But now everyone knew that no copy is recognized. The burning was like more of a symbolic thing that, you know what, even if you keep your copies, it's not recognizable anymore. And that's why now at our time, we use these narrations that refer to Mus'haf Aisha or Mus'haf Ubay or Mus'haf, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, or this Mus'haf in tafsir only, but not to recite Quran and worship Allah with it. Fine, he has this copy, even if it is a tafsir, it is not the Quran itself, for sure he got it from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. حافظوا على الصلاة الوسطى صلاة العصر المصحف عائشة, but no narration mutawatir was that one. So when you see the different opinions, what is the middle salah? The strongest one is Salat al-Asr, because Aisha says, whether it is in her Mus'haf, it is tafsir, or it was Quran, or whatever it is, she must get it from Rasulullah, because she cannot make up something like this. So we accept it in tafsir, but we don't accept it in salah. If you say, حافظوا على الصلاة الوسطى صلاة العصر, salah is void, you add something is from Quran, and even if you think it is Quran, it can reach to blasphemy. Adding a word, that means you are saying all this effort in making Quran is not Quran. Quran is missing something. That's a wrong aqidah, Okay, أخي?
Jazakallah khair.
وجزاكم أخي قاسم. Sisters, no questions?
No sisters.
No sisters.
Khadija.
Sister.
Khadija there's.
طيب جزاكم الله خيرا والحمد لله رب العالمين. May Allah reward you all. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. رمضان مبارك. May Allah accept from you. وعيد مبارك إن شاء الله. We continue إن شاء الله. I will inform you how to continue later إن شاء الله. Yes إن شاء الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
جزاك الله خير.
وجزاكم حبيبي.